to Wheel Talk. I'm Recappa Sedai. Today we'll discuss one of the most polarizing characters in the Wheel of Time, Zareen Bashere to Aybara, or as we all know her, Faile. Oh, here's Tivana with my tea. We're gonna be spilling a lot of tea this episode. Why don't you tell me what's wrong with this?
There isn't any steam.
There isn't any steam! Mistress of Novices. I can always channel to heat it, but the point is she needs to do better. This is a spoiler-heavy episode. We have more spoilers than a kitchen full of weebles. Already spilling. If you haven't finished reading The Wheel of Time, this video will spoil you. I'm not kidding. I don't want to tell you what happens before you read it. Who am I, Min? Okay, so Faile. Not to generalize Wheel of Time fans, but just for a second, to generalize Wheel of Time fans, we usually talk about Faile in extremes. She's either awful or awesome. I do this. I have said a few times on social media that I am Cha Faile, and I think Faile is misunderstood. She's really awesome. But here's the real tea. If I were to make a list of my favorite Wheel of Time characters, Faile wouldn't be on it. The reason I defend Faile is I think she gets a lot of unfair hate, so I join the camp of fans arguing that she's awesome. If I look at the whole series and I'm honest with myself, I can't simply say that Faile is awesome. There are too many moments when she very clearly isn't. But I can say wholeheartedly that I love her arc. I think most of us can agree that she grows up a lot in these books. Why do my glasses keep sliding down my nose like this? Instead of the Recappa meter, today we are going to use chart Faile. Fun fact, in the old tongue, chart Faile means the Falcon's chart. Really, it's more of a line graph, but I'm not gonna call it line graph Faile. That would be silly. You're probably thinking, Recappa, what the hell is chart Faile? Calm down, I'm about to tell you. Chart Faile is an accurate and objective way to judge Faile, based on how much I like her. From dot song to dot best. Let's use Galad for a quick example. I'm choosing Galad because I doubt I'll ever do a Galad video, and his chart, like his personality, is pretty basic. Galad starts here at neutral. We don't like him, we don't dislike him, we don't even know him. Who the hell is he? For the first part of the series, Galad is getting on my nerves, and he's descending until he's about here. And then Galad kills Valda, and it's like, oh my god, awesome! And he spikes all the way up here above neutral, and for a minute, I really like him. And then for the rest of the series, he descends and descends until he's really on my nerves again. In the last battle, Galad goes for Demandred, and I'm like, oh my god, he's gonna do something rad! He's gonna... No, never mind. Looks like Galad to me. Maybe some Galad fans were offended by that. If so, I meant it. Come at me. Okay, enough of this. On to chart Faile. Perrin meets Faile in The Dragon Reborn when she follows him and jumps aboard the Snow Goose. At this point on chart Faile, Faile is neutral. We know nothing about her at this point, except that she's a stalker. Faile immediately tries to impress Perrin. She's like, I'm a hunter for the Horn. I took the oath, I've got the skills, and I think it's in Manetheren. It's not. Also, I call myself Mandarb. Are you serious? It means blade. Yeah, it's also the name of that horse right there. It's a horse name. You have a horse name. Ha ha, horse name. You might be asking, Recappa, why aren't you wearing a Faile costume? First of all, I don't have the cheekbones for it, and second, why aren't you wearing a Faile costume? Faile comes across pretty immature here. I don't dislike her, but she does very little to win me over. Before Perrin says a word, she tells him not to sulk, and throughout The Dragon Reborn, she tends to approach conversations like she's trying to start an argument. If you try making me your responsibility, I will carve your ears. Do you hear me? Near the end of The Dragon Reborn, we have the Hedgehog drama. Faile is trapped in Teleron Riyadh, and Perrin saves her. I think this rescue is supposed to be a big moment for them as a couple, but it does nothing for me. According to chart Faile, by the end of The Dragon Reborn, Faile has descended into hard-to-like territory. I get that Perrin likes her, but at this point, I don't see why. She's not particularly nice to him. And look, I've dated people who weren't particularly nice to me. I think a lot of people can probably relate to Perrin in that sense, but it rarely leads to a healthy relationship. I don't root for Perrin and Faile as a couple early on, because they don't support each other. They like each other, but that is not the same thing. At the top of the Shadow Rising, Faile befriends Bane and Chiad. I give Faile a tiny uptick for getting along with the Aiel so well. I'm like, you know what? Faile's gonna work her way back to 0 in this book. Nope. Not this book. Faile sees Berelain seducing Perrin in the Stone of Tyr. Later, Perrin tells Faile that he's into Berelain. So Faile finds Berelain and says, hey, Perrin belongs to me, and you need to off. Berelain disarms Faile, and Rhuarc breaks them up. Side note, I am not a Berelain fan. Her attitude is basically, oh, you don't understand, I have to be an awful person to protect my end. Berelain isn't without fault, but Faile doesn't handle this well. You should not be pulling knives on folks because you think Perrin belongs to you. No. On Chart Faile, this Berelain stuff brings Faile back down a tick. We've come to it. Lots of Wheel of Time fans who can't stand Faile point at this next part, because it's really bad. Perrin desperately needs to reach the 2 rivers. He asks Loial to guide him through the ways, and Faile says, aren't you forgetting something, Loial? You promised to take me through the ways whenever I wanted, and before anyone else. And poor Loial is like,
yeah, 'cause you said you wouldn't believe me unless I swore, but this is important.
And Faile is like, no, you're gonna take me to the 2 rivers, but Perrin can come if he asks.
Not to be hasty, but what the Faile?
It should be noted, Emond's Field is in danger. Perrin's desperate. But Faile refuses to let Perrin go unless she gets to go too, and she manipulates Loial to get what she wants. To which I say, who the do you think you are? Emond's Field is in crisis. The man you claim belongs to you is desperate to go home, and you say, no, I tricked Loial into a promise, and there's nothing either of you can do about it. And by the time you reach there, Loial and I will have done for the White Cloaks. It will all be over. Ask, you anvil-headed blacksmith. Just ask and you can come with us. Perrin took hold of himself. There was no way to argue her around to his way of thinking, but he would not ask. So Perrin says, fine, I'll just follow you. You can't stop me from following you. When they enter the ways, Faile slaps Perrin for charging in too fast. She punches Perrin. He grabs her by the scruff of the neck. It's a mess. Perrin keeps his distance from the party, which is ridiculous, but he won't ask to join Faile, and Faile won't let him join until he does. I get so annoyed about it, my hair is all in my face. My hair's in my face, my glasses. Now look, if I were Perrin, I would ask to join Faile. I would give her what she wants, and then I would break up with her the second we were out of the ways. Perrin won't ask because he doesn't want to give Faile that win. But it's not worth it. He could have made the situation easier on everyone. Now that I've acknowledged that, Faile's behavior in the ways is terrible. Are you kidding? Perrin can join you if he asks. Where do you think you are? This isn't a field trip. You need to look out for everyone. Otherwise, you're just a hazard, and you have Gaul tagging along. And by Gaul, I obviously mean G-A-U-L, Gaul. After tricking Loial and traveling through the ways, Chart Faile plummets. She's not Dot Song, but she's not far off. But it does start to get better from here. Faile comforts Perrin when he learns his family is dead. Okay, I'll give her an uptick. But she's only there because she tricked Loial, I can't forget that. She helps Perrin rescue the Emond's Field captives from the White Cloaks. Points for that, we love anyone who helps Emond's Field, and then they get married, and they're both really happy about it. Which is great, but at this point, I'm still unsure about their relationship. If they had been married a few books later, spent a little more time being nice to each other, that would have been okay too. My point is, I don't think Faile gains or loses points for marrying Perrin. There's still hair right in front of my face. After the wedding, Perrin sends Faile to Watch Hill so she'll be safe during the Battle of Emond's Field. The White Cloaks bail when the battle starts, and the Emond's Fielders are pulling back when the folks of Watch Hill and Devon Ride show up. Yes. Faile and Bane are at the forefront of the Watch Hill party, and they help save the day. Oh, I dropped my book. Faile leading Watch Hill into the battle is maybe the first awesome thing she does in the series. She goes against Perrin's wishes and comes back, And even Perrin knows she made the right move. They needed the help. But at the end of the Shadow Rising, Faile is still below neutral. She has some redeeming to do. We next see Faile in Lord of Chaos holding court. We get to see her training come into play, and we see that she's extremely capable in this sort of role. There's a lot she can teach Perrin. Then, Varen's talking to Alanna. It's revealed that the only reason Alanna didn't bond Perrin is because Faile threatened to kill her if she did. Yes! Faile so gets a boost for that. Is one non-consensual bond seriously not enough for you, Alanna? Keep your hands off Perrin. Speaking of Perrin, Lord of Chaos is the book where he meets Faile's parents. The Saldean attitude towards marriage makes me uncomfortable. This thing Dara says to Perrin is an example. I'll never forget the first time Davram took me by the scruff of the neck and showed me he was the stronger of us. It was magnificent. There's a lot to unpack there, maybe another video, but this scene shows me that Faile's attitude is the product of her parents and her culture. She's always ready to start fights because she was raised that way. It helps me understand her, which helps me like her. At the end of Lord of Chaos, Faile tricks Loyal into endless games of stones so she can stay near Perrin. Too soon. But the rest of the series is a pretty steady climb for Faile. In A Crown of Swords, she goes undercover as one of Colavir's attendants and then exposes her to Rand as a traitor and a murderer. I definitely give her an uptick for that. I really like that she brings her espionage skills to the table and helps Rand here. Colavir sure wasn't happy about it though. In The Path of Daggers, Cha Faile is established. I think Cha Faile is really cool, and it shows that Faile is an effective and subtle leader. She's not looking for attention. She would rather delegate and stay under the radar. Smart. At the end of The Path of Daggers, Faile, Bane, Shiad, and others are captured by the Shido. I'm definitely not going to dock points for getting captured. I don't blame Faile. But I'll just say, it sucks when Faile and friends get captured by the Shido. I hate the Shido. Faile's captivity in Malden is not my favorite part of the Wheel of Time. I feel like it slows things down. But the way Faile keeps it together as a Shido captive is really admirable, and I really like how Cha Faile sticks together throughout Winter's Heart. In Knife of Dreams, Galena screws Cha Faile over. Faile delivers the Oath Rod, but instead of escaping, they're all trapped in the basement of a collapsed house. Which sucks, we hate Galena, but I love this part. Arella began to cry softly. Tantalizing gaps admitted sunlight and allowed them to see the street, the sky, but nothing anyone could wriggle through, even Lucille. Faile could see the red scarf Galena had used to mark the building. She seized Magdan's shoulder. I want you to try to make that scarf do something the wind wouldn't make it do. You want to attract attention? Alyandra said hoarsely. Better that than dying down here of thirst. Her duty now was to keep the women who followed her alive. And if that meant captivity, so be it. Magdan? Faile whispered encouragement and held on to hope hard. Suddenly the scarf went rigid. That was marvelous, Faile said. Marvelous, Alyandra said. You're going to save us, Magdan. There were many kinds of battle. Sitting on the floor, whispering encouragement, Magdan fighting to find what she could seldom find. They fought for their lives while the scarf swung, then fell to the breeze, swung and fell limp, but they fought on. It's beautiful. Beautiful. I don't know why it hits me so hard. It's so simple. Maybe that's why it hits me so hard. I love that part. This is the moment when I can confidently say, Faile is out of the red zone. She has redeemed her Shadow Rising shenanigans. This is not the same Faile who wouldn't let Perrin join her in the ways. This is someone who puts everyone's safety first. This is a leader who makes good plans and carries them out. I'm so proud of Faile after Malden. She's come a long way. Then we get to the Gathering Storm, and this goes down in the prologue. Thank you for helping to assault Malden, Missima, Faile said. Then she reached up and rammed that knife into his heart. Sometimes a wife must do what her husband cannot, he heard Faile tell her women as his eyes fluttered. It is a dark thing we did this day, but necessary. Let no one speak of it to my husband. He must never know. Yes, I am so on board with this move. It needed to be done, and Perrin was never gonna do it. Faile is a delegator, so I think it's interesting that she does this herself. To Faile, this isn't an assassination, it's a judgment sentence. To me, it feels very House Stark. The man who passes the sentence should swing the sword. Or in this case, the increasingly more badass woman. Next up, we get a really lovely scene where Faile gathers her fellow captives to honor the dead Shido who protected them in Malden. Dead by our hand, Faile said. Or simply dead from battle. These four showed us honor. As the Aiel would say, we have great toe to them. I don't think it can be repaid, but we can remember them. The brotherless and one maiden showed us kindness when they didn't need to. They kept their honor when others had abandoned it. If there is a redemption to be found for them, and for us, this will be it. I am very ready to be done with Malden at this point, but this ceremony wins me over. Faile earns much G for this. We've got to talk about the Barrelane stuff in Towers of Midnight. At this point, we know that Perrin's not going to end up with Barrelane, and when these rumors start that they slept together, I just get annoyed. I want to be done with Barrelane hitting on Perrin. I wanted to be done with it books ago. When Faile tells Barrelane they're going to have to fight to the death over these rumors and Barrelane caves, I'm pleased. It's past time we were over this, and good for Faile for making it happen. Ugh, enough of Barrelane. We are done talking about Barrelane in this video. Faile has an even better moment in Towers of Midnight when she celebrates her anniversary with Perrin. This Shanahar, as Faile calls it, is probably my favorite romantic scene in the Wheel of Time. There are similar scenes between Rand and the Timeshare ladies on the eve of the last battle. I don't think they're earned like this one is. When Perrin and Faile first get together, they don't support each other. In the Shadow Rising, we see Faile deliberately hinder Perrin for her own selfish reasons. When they get married, it seems like they still have issues to work out. But I would argue that their relationship is the most realistic one we see in the series. Wheel of Time characters generally fall in love really fast, and there isn't a lot of focus on why two personalities fit together. We actually get that with Perrin and Faile. Faile's passion and skills help Perrin lead, and Perrin's patience grounds Faile. As much as they do worry me early on, I appreciate that they have issues, overcome them, and then become stronger. Real relationships take work, and compared to other Wheel of Time characters, I find it refreshing that Faile actually puts in the work. Let's talk about Faile in A Memory of Light. Early in the final book, Faile agrees to deliver the Horn of Valir to Mat. 50 men of the band escort her. After escaping a crazy, spiky bubble of evil, Faile's party ends up in the Blight. She leads the survivors into Sheol Ghul. They find a Darkfriend settlement, go undercover, and take a gateway to Marilor. Then Eravine comes out as a Darkfriend, and they're all trapped in air until Olver stabs the woman channeling. Eravine flees with the horn. Faile and Bella chase her down, and Faile takes Eravine out with a throwing knife. Let's pause here to mark Faile's progress because yes! Hell yes, Faile, and hell yes, Bella! Get it! Trollocs and Darkfriends chase Faile. Olver approaches while Faile switches horses, and Faile gives him the horn. Once those riders pass, find another place to hide. They will come back to search where I've been after they catch me. She would have to take her knife to herself, lest they torture out of her what she'd done with the horn. She gripped Olver by the arm. I'm sorry to place this upon you, little one. There is no one else. You did well earlier. You can do this. Take the horn to Mat, or all is lost. She rides off to create a diversion, and the Trollocs and Darkfriends follow. When Faile gives Olver the horn, my heart soars. In that very first scene on the Snow Goose, Faile boasts about her hunter status. Hunters have legendary reputations, and Faile wants that glory for herself. To put it simply, she's selfish. By the time we get to this final chase for the Horn of Valir, self-interest is the last thing on Faile's mind. The prophecy of the horn says, "Let whosoever sounds me think not of glory, but only of salvation." Faile didn't sound the horn, but by the end of the Wheel of Time, she has become everything a hunter for the horn should be. Is she the best? Not quite. Not to me. I reserve that status for other characters in the series. But I think Faile's journey is a triumph. I wouldn't want her to start the series being the selfless leader that she is at the end. It's relatable that she has to make a lot of mistakes before she can be that person. Why are we reborn? So we can do better the next time. That's it for this week. Thank you for watching. A very special thank you to Nablus for his brilliant guest starring appearance this episode. Some of my sisters used to be like, Recappa, how can you be friends with Nablus? He's a Forsaken, he's evil. But then Nablus had them all killed, so that doesn't happen anymore. If you haven't explored thegreatblight.com yet, do that. It's a great way to find new Wheel of Time content and see what's new in the community. I can talk. Any thoughts you have, I'd love to hear them. Please leave them in the comments. If you'd like to support Wheel Talk and help me keep it going, the best way is by sponsoring the show on Patreon. There's a link in the notes. All levels of contribution are amazing, and a huge shout out to all of Wheel Talk's patrons. You make this possible. One last thing. As you may have noticed, our schedule's gotten a little wonky. I'm really trying to get back to weekly episodes, but I'm also updating Wheel Talk, and some episodes take a little longer than others. So from now on, if you're ever wondering when the next video will come out, you can always check letsgetwheel.com, and I'll start posting updates about the status of our next episode. So, until next time, walk in the light, and keep it wheel. And vote, make sure you vote. Okay, now you can go. Tivana, come take my dishes.